Hello and welcome to today's Time to Grow. It's another book today, but not just any old book. This book has probably inspired more personal development, personal growth books than maybe any other. It's a book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And I won't go into the background of it, the history of it, but it was Napoleon Hill. Actually, so I will go into the history of it. Napoleon Hill was commissioned by Andrew Carnegie to write this book at the turn of the last century. And if you don't know, Andrew Carnegie at the time was the richest man in the world. He was the world's first billionaire, but he was also a great philanthropist and a very, very human being. And he commissioned Hill to go and interview 500 of the world's most successful people. He facilitated the introduction for Hill. And interview them and find out what they made successful and write a book based on his findings. And there were some enormous commonalities. And it is such a great book, this is. I think everybody should read it because there's something in here for everyone, no matter where you are in your life. But I want to read you an excerpt today on Hill's chapter on desire. And he devotes a whole chapter to desire because at the end of the day, it's desire for change, desire for something better that drives everything. So let me read you what he says about desire. It says, Helen Keller became deaf, dumb and blind shortly after birth. Despite her greatest misfortune, she has written her name indelibly in the pages of history of the great. Her entire life has served as evidence that no one is ever defeated until defeat has been accepted as a reality. Robert Burns was an illiterate country lad. He was cursed by poverty and grew up to be a drunkard into the bargain. The world was made better for his having lived because he clothed beautiful thoughts in poetry and thereby plucked a thorn and planted a rose in its place. And Booker T. Washington was born in slavery, handicapped by race and colour. Because he was tolerant, had an open mind at all times on all subjects and was a dreamer, he left his impress for good on an entire race. Now he goes on to say that there's a difference between wishing for a thing and being ready to receive it. No one is ready for a thing until he really believes he can acquire it. The state of mind must be belief, not mere hope or wish. Open-mindedness is essential for belief. Closed minds do not inspire faith, courage and belief. So let's just think about what he says for a minute there about desire. Those three people who he cites had a real desire to overcome what they had to overcome. And as a consequence, they did it. Now I know that when I've had dreams in the past, the dreams have seemed so far removed from my reality that the journey between where I was and where I wanted to be has sometimes seemed too overwhelming and too big a gap to fill, too big a void to cross. And as a result, I've lost sight of my dream and lost any hope of achieving my dream. These days, I know that the only way to really achieve anything worthwhile in life is to put myself in the place of having achieved it already. Forget the gap, forget how big the gap is, and forget the how I'm going to achieve it. If I can put myself in that place and find I really want what I'm dreaming for and dreaming after, really want it with a great desire, and imagine myself as already having achieved it, I've got a much greater chance of believing I'm going to get there because it feels good. It feels great. So that desire within me drives everything. I just want you to go and spend a few minutes now thinking about what you really want, where you really want to be in the next 6 months, and put yourself there. Think of it as a wish fulfilled. Feel the feelings that are associated with it. If it feels really good and you find that you really want it, just do that exercise on a regular basis. Put yourself in the position of having achieved it and really go for it. You've got a great chance of getting there.